Stitch Slouchy is a great hat that can be made with a variety of yarn types and weights, and even can be considered reversible. This is usually considered the inside of the hat, but both sides yield interesting textures and patterns. So you may want a copy of the pattern. I've included a link in the description box below. And these other supplies here. You'll need a crochet hook. I'm using a 5mm, which is an eye hook, but it's really not as important because you are measuring as you go rather than counting rows. You'll need a couple of colors of yarn, tape measure not included here, a tapestry needle for weaving in your ends, some scissors, and look at this note that I've included here. It says, once you understand the basic structure, this can easily be done with any weight yarn, and hook size, of course. So we've got our materials and we're ready to start. And it tells us to begin by deciding on a hat band size. Now you can either measure the head circumference of whoever you're making this hat for, or you can refer to the chart included with this pattern. On the second page is a chart that I copied and pasted from a blog post. So if you know you're making it for a 4-year-old, the head size is going to be somewhere between 20 to 22 inches, which is kind of ironic because that's also the same size as for a woman. A woman's small, or this is more of an average size woman, and a man is around 23 inches. And this is a pretty accurate chart that I've found that works well. But let's look back at these instructions. It says, remember that hat bands are usually a couple inches shorter than the head circumference to ensure a snug fit. Now, I've seen a lot of people tell you to just measure the head. For instance, my head is 22 inches, so you chain 22 inches. I mean, you complete a hat band that's 22 inches. And that doesn't work for me. I find that it's much too loose. I want mine to be a little snug so that when we stretch it, it will be snug on the head. Not too tight, just comfortably snug. You don't want a wind to come along and blow it off. Note that this chart also gives you a suggested band size, so that could be helpful. Now once you've got that number in mind, just keep it aside because you won't need it until we've completed doing this. We will do the hat band back and forth this way, making a long strip, and then our head circumference will tell us how long we need to make this thing, how many rows we need to continue doing. So let's go ahead and get started making those rows. Oh, and it tells us chain 12. We assume you know the basics, which is to make a slip knot and put your hook on it, and the instructions said to chain 12. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So our next instructions take a single crochet in the second stitch from the hook and in each stitch to the end. We should have an 11 total when we finish. Okay, we never count the one on the hook. There's 1 from the hook and 2. There's the second one. Now, here you have a choice to make. Often we have a technique of crocheting in the back hump like this, which leaves a nice little chain on the bottom. But this time we're just going to do it the old way, or the more regular way, I guess, which is to stick your crochet hook right in the center and kind of pick up that one loop right there. And the reason why is because this way leaves a ridge instead of a nice chain end. And that'll help us when it comes time to join. So, second chain from hook, single crochet, and we should have 11. 2, 10, and there should be one more. There it is. 11. Okay, there we got our start. Now what do? Round 3 until the end of the hat band. We're going to single crochet in the back loop only until the strip reaches the desired length. Okay, so my head is 22 inches. I'm probably going to make mine about 19 or 20 inches long. But here's an important note. Be sure to end on a row where the beginning yarn tail and the working yarn are on the same side. So, for instance, right now, the tail, the beginning tail, and the working yarn are on the same side. But of course, as we do this going back and forth, we're going to be turning, and going different directions. So we just want to make sure that when we end, they're on the same side, probably this side, so we'll be ready to go. Just noticed that I made a mistake in this pattern. I simply need to add the notation to chain 1 because we're going up a row. So before we single crochet in the back loop only, we need to do that chain 1 and then turn. It should probably say that too, shouldn't it? There. Just like we start everything, it's the second chain from the hook for single crochets. So it's not this one that we chained, but this one. Back loop only. We'll go into the center and we're picking up only that back loop. And we're doing a single crochet. Again, pick up the back loop, single crochet, all the way across. And what we're essentially doing is creating a ribbing. Now you can see after 2 rows how we're beginning to get that ribbing effect right there. So we're going to continue to single crochet, back loop only all the way across, chain 1 and turn, and repeat this until we get it to the desired length. Okay, so I'm back and I have finished this part right here. I single crocheted in the back loop only until the strip reached the desired length. The notation says to be sure to end on a row where the beginning yarn tail and the working yarn are on the same side. Well, I've done that. See, here's the beginning yarn tail. It's here at the top. And here is the working yarn, here at the top. All right, the next step is to join the hat band ends. We're going to fold the hat band so that the ends align. So that would be like that. And slip stitch the ends together. And then I'm making this video now, so later you can refer to it. Do not cut the yarn. So we finished the single crochet. We did not chain up. We're folding our pieces together here and lining up the ends. Now look what we have. We have these a nice track here of regular crochets at where we finished. But here where we started, remember we had put the hook only in 1/2 of that chain. So now we only have 1/2 of the chain to pick up. Okay, so now that you know what we're doing, pull this tail out of the way so we don't accidentally get that. And first up, we're just going to join, yarn over, pull it through both. That's your first slip stitch. Okay, now for the next one, you go into the complete stitch right there. Pick up 1/2 of the other stitch. Did I get that 1/2? Pull it through all of them, and the last one, through the V, pick up the single stitch on the other side, yarn over and pull through everything. And that is how we slip stitch. Through the V, one single one on that side, yarn over and pull through everything. Through the V, that single part of that stitch, yarn over, pull through everything. And you can see we have a nice little chain action going on right there. Now we're at the last V. I'm picking up both legs of that V, and then the little single end right here. I think I got more than the single end there. And then I'm pulling through all this commotion. Okay, so now I've slip stitched the ends together and it'll look like that. And the inside looks like that. So theoretically, you could use whichever side appeals to you to be your right side. All right, now instructions said don't cut the yarn, so let's see what we do next. All right, so let's see what our next step is. We're going to do the setup row for the hat portion, and I just noticed I need to add the words chain 1 in. We'll chain 1 and do 1 regular half double crochet in each end stitch of the hat band. The number of stitches will equal the number of single crochet rows, and of course that's going to be different for all of us because we did it by measurement instead of counting.
Then it tells us do not join with the first stitch, which is a very common thing. We normally would go around and then we join to the top of the first stitch. Well, we're not going to do that this time. Alrighty, so first thing is to do that chain 1, which I will of course edit. And of course you can decide, do you like this to be your outside or do you want this to be your outside? You know, it doesn't matter. Actually, I think I like that better. So I'm going to turn mine inside out. Okay, so here we've got to do a setup row all around these edges. Now you can tell you've got one row here and one row here, one row here and one row here. So we need to stick a half double crochet in the top of each of these rows, and a half double crochet is yarn over and pick up a stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull through all 3. Sorry, yarn over, and I'll just go in that opening right there. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over, find your next spot. Okay, so that would be on this side. And this is kind of just eyeing where you think it needs to go, because it's very difficult. This is often very difficult to judge where the end of the row is. Sorry, yarn over. Okay, and I like to go in on this side. There's no exact science to crochet. Many ways can get the job done very well. The goal is a pleasing result, pleasing end result. Okay, so you can see how I've got my half double crochets going along at the top. So you can continue all the way around and I'll meet you back right here. All right, I'm down to my last 2. I need to put one here. And I need to put one here. Okay, and often we would join with the top. Well, that would be this stitch right here. But the instructions said not to do that. So let's see what we are to do. So it says begin the hat portion. Attach a new color if desired, and I so desire. Begin the camel stitch, which is a half double crochet in side loop behind the stitch.
So which loop are you supposed to be picking up? Well, these V's are the top of the stitch. They're the normal places where you stick the crochet under both of those V legs. But in this case, you want to reach around to the back and there'll be another loop all by itself. You want to grab that one. This picture is included in your pattern too.
And then it tells you, note from this point on, all reference to half double crochet is a camel stitch. It's done camel stitch style. Okay, so it's coming off of this half double crochet right here. I just make a loop and chain it on there. And that's good enough. You don't need to chain up because what we're doing is actually continuing on with our row. So we're going to, this is the top of the next stitch right here. You see it? So if we flip over to the back, you can see that there's a whole another line right there. Do you see it? One right there. One right there, one right there. You see how it lays right behind this top part, and that's what we're grabbing. Okay, so half double crochet, we yarn over, and we're going to pick up that back loop. It's not really the back loop, it's behind the whole stitch. Pull it up, and then pull through all. What this does, it actually forces that chain of stitching to lie on its side. And that's how we get those neat little rows. So you just, if you can't see it, like right here, I can't see it, I'm going to flip over. And it's right along the line of stitching just beneath those V's. Okay, and you continue all the way around and I'll meet you back right here. Okay, let's take a moment to point something out. As you'll notice, you have these wonderful rows of chains that show up with this camel stitch. Now, we know that this is the top row of the stitch. See, it actually is supposed to be sitting up like this, right? And then it comes forward when this row makes it go forward. And after a while, even your top row will lean over. See how that's doing it? This is really the top of the stitch, like that. But it just naturally rocks forward so that the loop we want is actually, it almost looks like we're doing back loop only, doesn't it? But we're really not. The stitch is on top, we're reaching behind it like that. It just makes it a little easier for us as we go. Okay, I've made it one all the way around. I just have a couple more stitches to do, but let's check the pattern real quick. It says, we're on, let's see, we did this part, we're on to the main part of the hat. Continue half double crochet camel stitch without joining rounds until desired slouch is achieved. The adult hat in the picture, that's this one, measures 9 inches from hat band before the decreases begin. So I just kept going and going and going, and then I would get my tape measure out, and you would measure from here, and when you reach 9 inches, which is probably somewhere around in here, you then begin these decreases. So we're continuing on in the round. Let me do these last few stitches. There's that one and this one. That's the last two on that row. And now, do you see that right there? That was where the hook was attached when we began the next stitch. So it's like this right here. So we ignore that and go into this one. Okay, again, we're doing camel stitch, so we have to look behind it. The first one is always a little trickier. That would be right here. All right, see V, and then it's the next one. And you just continue on. If this looks a little loose, you'll just give it a little tug to make it right, both of these. And I made it all the way around without cutting this yarn. I'm finished with the hat band, so I can now cut this yarn and sew those ends in later. Okay, now here's something. Usually when you crochet in the round, you would put a marker right here, so you know when you get back around to the beginning again. Here it's easy to see because we had a color change, but up here we're going to have all this solid ivory color. Do we need a marker? Well, I say no, because we are just going to measure 9 inches when we stop to know when to stop, and this tail can be our marker. Every time we get back around to this general direction, we know we've completed a row. So I don't bother with a marker for this particular project. So let's continue on. Camel stitch in the round until the hat measures your desired height. And I'm doing this for an adult, so I'm going to go for 9 inches from hat band to where I want to begin my decreases. Okay, here I am back. I've done 9 inches from the bottom of the band up to this point. Now, let me show you another thing that's kind of interesting here. I like to crochet with the right side of the work on the inside so that I'm working from the back side like this. So I had to turn it inside out in order to do that. I don't think it makes any difference. I could have very well left it like this and worked from the front side. As long as you get the ending result, I don't think it makes any difference. But anyhow, I've done my 9 inches. Oh, and that's another thing about this hat. I love this side, but I think that this side is just as effective. Now, I did use a stitch marker, even though it wasn't necessary, as I discussed before. But when you get far away from down here, you cannot see the tail. So I just stuck a little stitch marker there to just so I'd know So now it's time to start the decreases. For the first decrease row, you're going to do 5 half double crochet. Remember, always camel stitch style. And then you're going to half double crochet 2 together. And you're going to repeat that for this round. Remember, anything between 2 asterisks is going to be repeated. If the number of stitches you have do not work out perfectly, no worries. Just half double crochet camel stitch in the remaining stitches and proceed to the next row. Alright, I turn this back inside out and let me show you how I work with stitch markers for this. I do the first stitch, and that would be this one. And then I take the stitch marker and mark my very first stitch so I know when I get back around. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 together. So you yarn over just as usual, pick up your stitch, pull through, and then you stick in to pick up the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 3. Okay, so I've just done 2 together. And then you repeat the process. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 together. Pull up 1, get the next one, pull up, pull through 2, pull through 3. And you repeat that process all the way around till you get back to your stitch marker. Okay, I'm coming up here on that last little bit. That was a double crochet 2 together right there. So let's see. 1, whoops, 2, 3, 4, and I just happened to come out exactly right, but it doesn't matter if yours did. If you had 3 left over, that's fine, not a problem. Okay, so let's take out the marker and see what we do next. It says second row decrease. We do 4 half double crochet and then half double crochet 2 together. Okay, on to the second row decrease. It's the exact same thing. We're just doing 4 stitches before the decrease, which is 2 half double crochets done together. I did this first stitch. Now I'm placing a marker. 2, 3, 4, and now we do 2 together. Pull through 2, pull through 3. Okay, so you'll repeat this process, counting to 4, all the way around. 2, 3, 4, and then 2 together. 1, 2. Pull through 2, pull through 3, and I'll meet you back around. Alright, so now we need to do the third decrease row, which is 3 half double crochet 2 together. I think you're getting it now, right? So since you've caught on to the pattern by now, go ahead and do the 3rd, 4th, and 5th row decreases, and I'll meet you back here for the ending. And following the logical pattern, we're going to do half double crochet 2 together over and over again until there are just a couple left. So let's do that together. I'm going to leave that right there. I'm not going to keep moving it over and over as we go around. Okay, so we're going to do 1, 2, pull through 2, pull through 3. 1, 2, pull through 2, pull through 3. 1, 2, pull through 2, pull through 3. And remember, you're going to probably have a different number of stitches to work with than I do, because we did not do this through counting. we did it through measurements, and so everybody's going to have a different number of stitches. But you know what? That's what makes this so handy, that now that you know how to do this, you can use any size yarn, bulky, thin, whatever, or hook sizes. If you're more comfortable using a larger hook with your worsted weight than I am, you can certainly change that. But because you understand the measurements, it'll work like a charm. 1, 2, pull through 2, pull through 3. Okay. 1, 2, pull through 2, pull through 3. Easier said than done. There. 1, 2, pull through 2, pull through 3. It's getting harder the smaller we're getting. Right, where are we? We're pulled up this one, so we got to do it right here. 1, 2, pull through 2, pull through 3. It's harder to see exactly which stitch to go in. We did that one, so we have to go here. 1, 2, pull through 2, pull through 3. One, 2, pull through 2, pull through 3. I have to check it every time. Okay, looks to me like we've got a few stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do this 2 more times. 1, whoa, 2, pull through 2, pull through 3, and this, you know what, I'm going to stop here because I want it to lie flat. If you keep going too much, you get a little pointy top, and you don't want that. So this looks good to me. I'm going to stop right here. Alright, so here it is finish off and weave in ends. So we know how to do that. We clip that, pull this through, and then we're going to weave these ends in. Let me take my marker out. Okay, thread a tapestry needle. And I like to continue in the direction that I was crocheting, which is around this way. So I will pick up the middle of stitches is basically what I'm doing. And you can see how you get little holes. Can you see that right there? From the half double crochet 2 together. So basically, I'm just closing the holes up a little bit. My goal is for this to, of course, not come undone and to lie flat. Now I like to go back beyond one of my stitches, kind of like backtrack a little bit to lock it in place. And then run it through to hide it. And clip. And then we have these ends, our joining ends. Okay, let's look where we joined. Do you see this hole right here? I want to use my coral color yarn to close this gap right here. So let's flip it back to the outside and thread the coral. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to work from this direction, but do you see the gap right there? Right here. So it's coming from this side, so I'm going to pick up some yarn on the opposite side to close that gap. Let's check it. See, that's a little better.
Now use your favorite method for sewing in all your ends, and you're finished.
And now you have a finished project.